Back in 2022, I got this book, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. I was 17 going on 18, and it was obviously a turning point in my life because I had just graduated high school. And like everyone at that age, I was asking myself, am I going to go to the traditional route and go to college, or am I going to go all in on this camera stuff and actually pursue what I want to do? Thanks to this book, I took the path of becoming an entrepreneur, and now at 20, I run a video production and marketing company, and I'm just doing what I always wanted to do. Since it had such a big impact on me, I figured I'd make a video on it, even though a lot of you don't know who I am or don't know what I do exactly. I just figured I can share some of the lessons from this book and hopefully inspire someone else the way that this book inspired me, and also inspire someone the same way I found this book because I found it through a video too. Quick story about this book. Actually, like I mentioned, I found it when I was 17 and I was just on Instagram probably, or like TikTok or YouTube short. Who knows what I was watching when I was 17. I went to my local library, I picked it up as a rental book, and I still have it now, so I stole it. Didn't mean to. Sorry to the library, but I was a broke 17-year-old. I went to go get this book. And then like any kid or any teenager, I held off reading this book for at least 6 months, which is funny because this whole book kind of talks about that side of things of procrastination, which we'll get into. So the first thing you read on this book's cover is break through the blocks and win your inner creative battles. This whole book is about the concept of resistance. And I'm gonna use that word a ton throughout this video. Boiling it down, resistance is pretty much procrastination, even though procrastination is just a form of resistance. Resistance comes up when you're trying to pursue any type of creative endeavor or entrepreneurship endeavor. In the book, it actually gives you a few examples, which I'll just read it from the book because it's way easier. It's labeled Resistance Greatest Hits, but resistance comes in with the pursuit of any creative calling, whether that's, writing, painting, music, art, the launching of any entrepreneurial venture, any course or program designed to overcome an addiction. So, you kind of get the idea, but it's just any of those type of life-changing or life-altering paths that you might decide to take. Resistance is going to come up and try to take you off that path. And one quote that will set the tone for this entire book, which is honestly why I think I got hooked on this book, because it was just like an outlandish take, but it goes into how everyone knows now that Hitler wanted to be an artist. Hitler had some paintings. If you've seen him online, you know that he was trying to be an artist and he failed at it. And what he says in the book is that Hitler wanted to be an artist, but resistance got the best of him, and it was actually easier for him to go and start World War II than it was to face a blank canvas. So if that doesn't set the tone for the book, I don't know what will. I just wanted to put that in the beginning because it's just a crazy take. Really, the beginning of this book is just defining what resistance is. Like any problem, figuring out what the problem is the first step to actually fixing that problem. It's the same thing with what we call resistance in this book, or the many faces that resistance has. So pretty much, let's say, like for me, my example, I really wanted to be a videographer. I really wanted to start working with cameras. I'm sitting there 17 looking at this book, and it just made me realize, like, I'm feeling so strongly and so worried about starting this because I really cared about it. It was something I really wanted to do. Like, it really just goes into all the examples of resistance. And one of the most prominent and most common ones being procrastination. Everybody experiences procrastination. You might not only experience procrastination on your one true calling, but a lot of the time you do. Even recording this video right now, like, I'm setting up the lights, I'm setting up my camera, I'm like looking at the little notes I have, and in my mind, resistance is telling me, oh, why are you making a YouTube video? What's the point of making a YouTube video? Like, do you even want to be a creator? Like, it's all these thoughts that come up in your mind. And I probably wanted to make this video like when I read this book 3 years ago, but I just started doing it right now. That's just an example of resistance in real time, and it's just something that you're always going to be dealing with. But procrastination, especially, so many people who want to start a business and they're just like, oh, I'll start it when this, or I'll start it when I quit this job, or I'll start it when I have this much money saved up. And those are very easy to rationalize, which is also something that he brings up in this, and that is why procrastination is the most common factor of resistance, is because you can rationalize procrastination so easily. Like, if you don't want to go to the gym one day, like, oh, my gym clothes aren't clean, I would have to wait an hour, it might take a little longer than I wanted, so I'm not going to go to the gym. Like, so easy to rationalize, and it sounds so normal that you'd end up not going to the gym. That's why procrastination is the biggest form, and it's probably the easiest way to understand what resistance is. So if you do decide to go through the book and you read those like 50 or 100 different ways of what resistance is, you're aware of it, but obviously just being aware of a problem isn't enough. You do have to go and take action. So what taking action, what can that look like for you? I'll just give you an example of what it looked like for me when I first took action. So I read this book, probably took about 6 to 8 months to read it, and then I read this first part of this book, which is the whole what resistance is section, and then I started posting on Instagram. It was brutal. The videos weren't bad, but it just took so much for me to want to post videos because because I started on my personal account. I mean, you hear this from any creator. Like, I had friends on there from high school. So, you know, I'm worried about that. It was hard to be creative every day and try to get a post up. But, you know, I probably started around June, posted at least like every day on my old account for every day for probably like 2 months. And then I started my new account, which is the one that most of you probably know me from, or most of you probably came from this video from. And then once I started that new account, posted 2 videos a day for probably 2 weeks. And then I had one go really viral. Went really viral was a sales call video. And that just gave me so much reinforcement. And especially after reading this book and going to take action, I was like, wow, I was dealing with this resistance the whole time when I probably could have blown up many months ago. But it just goes to show that, you know, obviously you might not start and blow up in 3 months, or you might not start your business and make $10,000 in your first week or something crazy, but getting over that resistance hump is the hardest part. And it's really what this whole first part of this book is about. It's just showing you what it is, and so you can identify it and actually fix that problem. Now, the way this book describes combating resistance is actually pretty cool. It refers to it as turning pro. You know, a lot of people call turning pro like you put in your 10,000 hours. I think going pro to me is just really more of a mindset, and you only get that mindset from putting in the work. And that's why I think the 10,000 hour thing works, because you've done it so much. By then you probably are a pro just because you have so many hours into it. But really, it's that 10,000 hours, and it's also the wins you collect along those 10,000 hours. But a big part of this second chapter, or they call it book 2 in this, is going pro, and really just what a professional or what a pro looks like in that field, and really going into how resistance isn't something that leaves. Like I mentioned, to set up this video, I'm just thinking the whole time, like, why am I recording a YouTube video? Same thing if I want to do an Instagram post. If I want to do an Instagram post of the behind the scenes of me working with clients, I'm still going to have resistance to post it for some reason. I mean, it's just always going to be there, even though I've been working with these clients for a year now. I've gotten them really good results, but me going to post that is still, I'm still feeling like, oh, is this going to get enough views? Is it going to look stupid if it doesn't get enough views? And that's just the type of things that come from resistance. This one part in Turning Pro really stuck out to me, and it talks about how we're all already pros. Let's say you're a high schooler and you're watching this. You're already a pro in something, and being a pro meaning you go to school every day, you show up there no matter what, you get good grades because you don't want to let your parents down. You're not going to school for fun, you're going so you can eventually get a career. Or let's say you're out of high school and you have a job. You go there every day, you show up no matter what, you make your money, like you're doing it not because you enjoy it, but because you make money and you have to support and provide for somebody. You're already a pro in that field, and there's aspects you can take from that job. I was reading this, I was like, okay, yeah, I do all this. Why can't I just go and apply that to what I want to do for myself, being an entrepreneur and being a videographer? So applying all those aspects is hard for people, and I think that's why a lot of people fail. And he just dives into how when you first start, you're an amateur. You don't have that real world feedback. If you're starting younger, like there's not a lot of consequences on you succeeding. So of course you're going to be an amateur, and you just have to get over that resistance hump and get into that pro level, which I wouldn't say I'm the best videographer in the world, but I would say I'm at that pro level now. Like I make money, I'm sitting in my office for my business that I bought with the money I make from what I do. Like I have this camera, I have all this gear. I'm at a level where I have real world feedback now because I have to satisfy clients. So I'm at that level that I'm at a pro. But when I first started, there was no real world feedback. How was I supposed to go out there and make something happen? So the easiest way that really anyone can start and go get that feedback, just to give like an actionable tip, in my opinion, is social media. And that can be with whatever you are trying to do. I mean, whether you're documenting your entrepreneurship journey, you're gonna get real world feedback because you're putting it out to a bunch of random people on the internet. For me specifically, I started social media because I wanted to be a videographer. If I couldn't get views for myself, then I probably wouldn't be able to do it for clients, so it wouldn't even be worth it for me to go reach out to people. So I just started for myself, made it happen, got some success on there, and from that ended up getting clients, which took me from that amateur level to having real world feedback, showing up no matter what, actually making money off of my work, which then slowly progressed me into the pro level. Another thing I like that it touches on is a professional in a field usually loves what they do. If there's a basketball player, I mean, they probably love basketball because they play it every day, but they love what they do. They obviously get a lot of money for it, but they're also doing it for a passion at the end of the day. Same thing with videography. It just started as a fun thing. I did YouTube with my friends. I loved, just editing videos when I was younger. Started as a passion, and of course I accept money for it, but I mean, I'm probably not gonna make any money off this YouTube video, but I'm still doing it. It's for the love of the game. But shifting a little bit away from, the professional side is, what does it look like when you get to the other side of resistance? And that's kind of like the third chapter of this book and what it talks about. And I'll just break down the main part I like about this third chapter of the book, because it talks about how resistance at its core is really just fear. I talked about this like a little bit bit in the beginning of the video, but you know, when you first start something or when you try to do anything that's out of the normal, you're going to experience fear. And that just comes from, I'm sure you heard this before, I'm not like a psych professional, but when you get that fear when you're trying to do something different, it's because in the past, if you were weird or you were saw as not fit to support the group or, you know, support the tribe, like you're gonna get kicked out and killed. So like to protect you from that, whenever you try to go do something different, you know, whatever the societal norm is, like right now it's college. If you don't go do that, then you think people are gonna look at you different, or you think you're gonna fail, or you think you're not gonna be able to provide for, you know, your future family or even just for yourself. So that's why you get that fear that comes up. And that fear is just trying to protect you from the failure you think you might have, which is something that is, honestly, everybody has to break through that in their own way. One way I did that personally was something else this book talks about, which is territory relating to your fear in general. And territory can mean a lot of different things. Territory can mean from like the things you have on your desk and the color of your room to the people you're around and the area you actually live in. All these things are things that make up the identity that you perceive yourself as, which was another very big thing this book showed me, was that the ideas the people around you have about you constantly reinforce the ideas you have about yourself. Let's say, you know, you're 17, like I was. Luckily, I have really good friends, so this isn't applying to them. Your group of friends isn't really, you know, the best. Like maybe they go out and drink every weekend, like they just want to party. They don't really have the same type of goals that you have. And you want to pursue that entrepreneurship journey. And when you go to do that, you know, they start making fun of you. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you making videos on Instagram? What are you doing? That is going to hold you back and give you resistance just because they're not supporting you, and these are the people you really care about, or even your family isn't supporting you and those are the people you care about the most. It's going to be like, damn, should I really be doing this? And you're going to, you know, gain resistance from that. Simply changing certain aspects of your life and what you do on a day-to-day basis can help you change that territory that keeps you in the fear, that keeps you in that resistance cycle. Overall, this is just such a good book. It changed my life and it helped me actually start what I wanted to do. Definitely worth the read. And if you guys want to see, you know, a little bit of what I actually do, since I just talked about, you know, how much this changed my life, you can watch this video of me living a day in my life. And yeah, see you in the next one.